Hello, everybody. It has been a while again, and what can I say? A lot has happened the last few months, and I'd like to talk about that at some point. And I would talk about it now, actually, but again, the news needs to be addressed, and there's been many of things that have happened. Let's start with observation one. The democratic implosion continues to happen in this country. We have some stuff that has been going on that has been very extreme nature. Last week, there was a lot of talk about this EMS 13 gang member, I guess he was with, who was supposed to not be sent back to El Salvador or something, but they put him there anyway. And then the senator from Maryland decides to go back and get him. That doesn't even make any sense. He's not even a naturalized citizen of America. Why in the world are you going down there to waste time on getting this guy who is from El Salvador? I apparently, and he might have got his green card here. I don't know, but I'm telling you, that is the most biggest blunder in political history, probably. Of course, it would be only done by that party, though, because they're the ones who don't care anymore, who are extreme people, all of them. I'm thinking they shouldn't even be called Democrats anymore. They should change their name. And that was talked about on a couple of stations I was watching. Really should. I don't know what they stand for. No one knows. But Democrat doesn't really suit them anymore. Maybe progressive. Yeah. More like past progressive. I mean, they don't really fit into the narrative of the whole thing. Really, these people to me are just against the presidency that we have now and want to wreak havoc as much as they can. Wreak havoc on everything. That is the key of the democratic implosion. It continues to happen. If you guys think of any other good names for them, please write it down in the comments. We're always enthusiastic to read your comments. In either case, as you can see, I've been working on new stuff for this channel, and a little backdrop I was able to get, and things develop. There's always an evolution to everything. I know YouTube looks easy, but it's not in the least. It's just like everything else. It takes time to get going. And plus, for me, it's not always easy to work on things like side ideas or side businesses because I have to still have a day job, and that gets in the way of a lot of things. And not only does working in general get in the way of things, but also just life gets in the way of things. Personal life. You don't even have to be working. There is all kinds of things that happen to us every day to derail your life, derail your day, derail your week. I've been there countless times, my friends, and I'm sure you have too. Now, let's go on to some other stories. I want to discuss Idaho 4 a little bit here. I know that's been in the news again. The Idaho 4 to me is a very, very complicated case. And I have swayed back and forth on, if he did it or not. And, I'm at the point, when you catch the guy, when you're suspects there, usually you just have to believe he's the one. Because in the end, the law enforcement are the ones with all the resources. Not us, not us observers from afar. They're the ones who get to see the crime scene. They're the ones who get to collect the evidence. They're the ones who get to interview everybody, the witnesses, all of that stuff. We're just the lay people watching. So, it looks simple. It's like when you watch a football game or a sporting game. You're sitting there thinking, why did that coach do that or that coach? We don't know all the intricate workings of something. And in the Idaho 4, the FBI were involved in that, or some other people. I've gone back and forth so many times on that case, but I always, tend to look at that side of the equation. There's an old theory that people used to say called Occam's razor. Now, that used to mean the simplest answer is the solution. And I think somehow that must apply in this case, as it usually applies everywhere. The simplest solution is this. Just LE, law enforcement, equals the real truth. Or it just equals the answer, we'll just say. LE equals X. Because, again, we know that they can do whatever they want, whenever they want. They are able to get things, to find out things us, general public, cannot find. So right now, that's a sticking point I have with the case. I know there's a lot of things that look weird about this case. I think somehow we was involved in the case. But the way it's been handled has been very strange and bizarre. And probably, I would say, if I was somehow influencing this case, because of the way it's been handled, though, which has been very strange, kind of almost below average. It almost, they should have been just dismissed, I feel, Maybe charge him again under the right situation. It could be just the way they do things. Now, there is suspicious stuff about this case. He may have been set up. But, here's another thing. I've struggled with this case, too, with that theory that he was the one who was not driving that white Elantra. It was just another car that looked like his. Think about this, guys. When you're going out to do your day, are you thinking about? Well, okay. Let's think of another example. Let's say you have to prepare for a party. Okay, in a few days. Maybe it's your kid's birthday, or if you're a parent out there, or it's your friend's birthday. You're making a party for someone. Don't you want everything to go perfect? So you're telling me, let's orchestrate this party. You're telling me a group of people got together to unalive 4 students in that house without doing nothing wrong. Okay? You're not seen on the cameras. There's no trace evidence of you being in that house. Just a few strange anomalies, right? There's no one that saw anything. There's no one in the other houses that picked up anything unusual on the camera. All we've got is this shoddy video footage from 100 yards away that they released a year or two ago. You're telling me that everything was done so perfectly. Whoever these people were, 5 or 6 people who planned this, just were absolutely spotless in doing this whole job, this whole unaliving. Yeah, I don't buy that. I'm sorry. I could never buy that. That is ridiculous. Okay. Everybody makes mistakes. I also couldn't believe at this point, 3 years later, after that unaliving, nobody has talked about it anywhere. The ones, the real killer, I guess you can say killer on you. The real unalivers never, ever, never, ever have talked. Like we're just, getting somebody. One of the unalivers got drunk with his buddy one night at the bar, and he just happened to, hey, that Idaho case, I was one of the unalivers. Yeah, and nobody knows. No one has talked in 3 years. I also find that's just, people can't be quiet, especially 5 or 6 people involved, or even 4 people. Now we know O.J. Simpson. He was one guy, right? And he talked some to people. Now we're talking 4 people involved, maybe 5 is the theory, who orchestrated this case. Now, folks, don't get me wrong. I love a good mystery like everyone else, and I hope there is more to it than just that it was just him, and he was the guy who dropped that knife sheath and messed up. Unfortunately, I can't believe that. I think that he was probably the one, as of right now. It's just a very good, well done facade by his attorney, I guess, lawyer, and a lot of mistakes by the prosecution or the law enforcement, whoever messed up with the investigation. It's just food for thought, you guys out there. I hope you like the new design, Chillin' News. Because we do discuss the news and stories going on around us, and occasionally what's going on in this crazy life. Good to be back. Good to see you guys. Leave a message, and we're going to try to have a new video soon, and I'm going to try to talk about my personal situation some, but also we want to talk about what's really going on in the news. And, before we close, I will say this. And maybe this is just the times we live in, because social media, but never in my entire life have I been in a place, or in this state where we live in now, where there is just, the news cycle is so turning like people in a revolving door. It's just constantly. I don't remember the old days like this, Like when I was in, high school or college, you didn't hear much in the news, really. I don't even remember. the news being a big thing. Sure, there was stuff that happened, you know, big stories. But we have the news cycle now where there's always something to comment about, and we're going to look through it. And we're going to see what we can discuss next time. Guys, you take it easy. I hope you have a good one, and we'll see you next time on Chillin' News.